Good day. So today we're going to deal with 6 exercises in trigonometry from Platinum grade 11 exercise 13. So in this particular video I'm not teaching, we're just solving exercises. So if you need teachings, I will put the video on the link of on the description, or I'll put the link in the description below. So in this particular video I'm not teaching, right? We're just solving. And just before you continue, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. So if you are practicing, every question that you see, just pause the video and attempt it, and then let's compare. So for each question, just do that. So here goes the first one. You can pause the video and you can attempt it. So this is the reduction stuff, right? So we're gonna have tan 330 is in the fourth quadrant, so it's 360 minus 30. Remember, we're not changing 330, we're just changing how it looks like, but not changing the number. So we have to make sure whatever we choose can go back. So because the rule of the fourth quadrant is 360 minus theta, then it's going to become 360 minus 30 to give you 330. And then now this is in the second quadrant, so second quadrant is 180 minus theta, so it's going to become 180 minus 45 to give you 135. So whatever you have should be able to go back. And then now here we've got sine 300, so 300 is the same. This is in the fourth quadrant, so it's 360, because we have to use 360 minus something because it's in the fourth quadrant, so we have to use the rule of the fourth quadrant. So it's 360 minus 60. So then this becomes 4, and then this tan in the fourth quadrant is negative, so we'll say negative tan 30. And then now this becomes cos 180 minus 45. Okay, why am I saying cos? This in the second quadrant is negative, so it's cos 45, negative cos 45. And then now this in the fourth quadrant is negative, so it's negative sine 60. And my advice is just deal with the signs immediately. So negative times negative is positive, times another negative is negative, and we just put it in front, so it's gonna become negative 4. And then we can just rewrite this, the whole thing. We can just rewrite the same thing. So notice I've removed the signs. Basically, when you've got the signs, it's better to just deal with the signs and just put it in front, just get it out of the way. And then now here, tan 30, if you do it without a calculator, you will have 1 over square root 3. And then cos 45 is 1 over root 2. And then sine 60 is what? Is square root 3 over 2. And then you can use the calculator to multiply this part. When they say do this without the calculator, they're just saying don't go to your answer straight. Show them how you got there. So it's better to deal with it part by part. And then now when you multiply it, it should give you square root 2. It should give you square root 2. I might be wrong here because I used my brain there, right? Yeah, so that's what we have. Because this square root, this will cancel this. And then now I will have 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by root 2 is root 2. So I'm just using my brain here. Just before I continue, if you want to be tutored, either online or physically, online it doesn't matter where you are or which country you are at, you can still be tutored. So we offer cheap online lessons, and if you want to be tutored physically, we can still make an arrangement. So call or WhatsApp this number, but preferably please WhatsApp this number, and then we will take it from there. So what I do is that I tutor people 5 days a week online, and I give tests once a week so that I can check your improvements. Here goes the next question, so you can pause the video and attempt. Alright, so when we solve this stuff, tan 315 is the same as is in the fourth quadrant, so it becomes, okay, why am I putting in brackets? It becomes 360 minus 45, and then 225 is in the third quadrant, so the rule is 180 plus, so it becomes 180 plus 45, because this still gives you 225. We're not changing it, we're just changing what it looks like. And then this becomes 180, because this is in the second quadrant, so it's 180 minus 20. Why am I saying minus 20? Minus 60 to give you 120. And then all this over, so now we have got sine 150, so 150 is in the second quadrant, so it's 180 minus 30. And then this is 2, okay, 210 is 180 plus 30. And then cos, so this is 360 minus 30. Alright, so from here we have this stuff, so it becomes 360 minus 45. So in the fourth quadrant, tan is negative, so it's negative tan 45. And then this is negative also, so it's negative sine 45. And then this is that's positive, so it remains sine 60. Yeah, that's what we have there. All right, so now at the bottom we have this is still positive, sine 30, and then this is negative, so negative sine 30, and then this is positive, so it becomes cos 30. So my advice is just to deal with the signs first. So there's no use of multiplying positives, we can just multiply negatives alone. So negative times negative is positive, times negative is negative, right? Because the result of this was positive times another negative gives you negative as a whole. Then that answer that you get, you just put it in front. So let's just get rid of it, so we just put it in front, then we write everything the same way without the signs this time. So when you have the signs, it's just better to get rid of it immediately. So then this becomes sine 30, sine 30, cos 30. You see that? And then from here, whatever is the same but on different lines cancel, but in this case we don't yet have that. So, and these are special angles, so we can get them, right? Alright, so I just erased, and this part I just copied it there. So where we last left off, that's where it is. Alright, so I'm continuing from here. So now without the calculator, tan 45 is 1, cos is 1 over 1, which gives you 1, right? And then sine 45 is actually 1 over square root 2. Sine 60 is square root 3 over 2. And then here we've got sine 30, which is what? Which is 1 over 2. And then now sine 30 as well, same thing. Cos 30 is square root 3 over 2. And notice these two are the same, so we just cancel, right? Then basically what we're left with now is this stuff, so there's nothing to cancel here. So these are numerators, right? Because a number times a fraction, if you've got a times b over c, it's just better to say a over 1, then you multiply along the same line. If they were the same, if we have something like a times b over a, then this is the same as over 1, and because they're the same but on different lines, this would cancel, right? But now here there's nothing that cancels because nothing is the same but on different lines, right? So they just multiply. So similarly, that's what we have. 3 times 1 times 1 is 3, right? Negative 3, right? So now we have negative 3. Then here we have 1 times root 2, which is root 2. Then here we have times, this cancelled, I remember. So that's what we have. Then here, same thing, right? There's nothing that cancels. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. So when we have this with tip and times, right? Tip and times means we have this stuff. Whenever we're dividing fractions, we change the division sign into multiplication. Then we leave the first one alone and we just change the second one, we switch. So when we switch, 4 will come up, 1 will go down. Because it was 1 over 4, now it switches, it becomes 4 over 1. 3 times 4 is 12, right? So we have negative 12. And then we have over square root 2. This, if you type in the calculator, because this is the same as, let me just do this. I'm just using my brain, right? It's not a must for you to use this method. So this is the same as 2 times 2 times 3 over square root 2. So then this becomes square root 2. So this will cancel and leave square root 2. It's not a must for you to use this. You just need to type this in a calculator. So it's going to become 6 square root 2. So if you type this in a calculator, you'll have 6 square root 2. And be careful when you type this in a calculator. It's better not to type it like this because you might make a mistake, and in your calculator this line might be the longest instead of this line. So you might have this line being the longest and you'll get your answer wrong. So to avoid all that mess, in the calculator when you type this, it's better to just type it like this. 1 over 4. It's better to type this in a calculator. You will get the same answer, right? And remember, division, we change it to multiplication and it switches, right? So just reminding you of that. So here comes the next question. So this is number 3, right? So you can pause the video and attempt it. So sine 240 is the same as sine 180 plus, because it's in the third quadrant, 60. And then this is 180 minus 45 because it's in the second quadrant. 180 minus 60 cos is in the second quadrant. And then now we have 180 minus 30, and then 180 plus 30, and then 360 minus 30. And then from here, this is negative, so it becomes negative sine 60. And then this is negative as well, so it becomes, let me just put them in brackets, negative tan 45. And then now this becomes negative tan 60. And then all over, this is positive, so it's positive sine 30. This is negative, so it becomes negative sine 30. And this is positive, so positive sine. Yeah, so I was checking something. I thought I was repeating the same question. Okay, so this is cos 30. And then from here, negative times negative is positive, times negative, negative, times another negative, positive. So the result is positive. So I just need to put positive, but there's no need to put it. It's an invisible positive. So I can just rewrite the same thing without signs. So this becomes sine 60 tan 45 tan 60. Then this is sine 30 sine 30 cos 30. So there we have it. And then now this we can simplify. These are special angles, right? So let me just rewrite the last part. So we had this, right? This is tan 45. Okay, so sine 60 without the calculator is square root 3 over 2. Tan 45 is 1. Remember, 1 over 1 is 1. So it's 1. And then tan 60 is what? Opposite over adjacent. So it will give you square root 3 over 1, which is still square root 3. And then all over this part, sine 30 is 1 over 2. Sine 30, same thing. Cos 30 is square root 3 over 2. And voila, these two are the same, so they cancel out. And then now here we have 1 times square root 3 is still square root 3, right? Still square root 3. And then now 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 is 1 over 4. So here we tip and times again. Square root 3 is the same as square root 3 over 1, right? And then we change this to multiplication, the division sign. Then this is now 4 over 1. So when you multiply this, it's 4 root 3. 1 times 1 is 1, so over 1, which there's no need to do that. We can just have 4 root 3. So 4 root 3 is the answer. Alright, so now here's another video. You can pause and attempt the video. So here's the solution. So 210 is in the third quadrant, so it's 180 plus 30. And then cos 180, wow, cos 180 is just 1. So we can change it immediately. I'll change it later. So it's just cos 180. Cos 180 is negative 1, I mean. So cos squared 45. Okay, 45, I'll change it later on. Now this becomes cos squared 45 still. I'll change it later on. I like changing everything at the same time. So now this is 1 plus tan squared 330. So this is the same as tan squared 360 minus 30. And then from here, let's change it. So 180 plus 30, this is minus sine 30. And then cos 180, I'll change it later. We can change it now, right? If I change it now, it's just negative 1. Cos squared 45, but I'll change it later. I want to deal with numbers alone later. So you can choose to write it now or later. So let me just write that later. So cos squared 45, I'm also writing that later. Cos is obviously going to give me a number. So I like writing numbers all at the same time. So this, right, 360 minus 30, tan is supposed to be negative, but remember everything squared is positive. So here you don't even have to worry about the sign. You just change it to tan squared 30. So it's not negative because everything squared is positive, right? Because there's a square. The minute you see a square, don't think about whether it will be a negative or a positive. Just write down the acute angle. So that's what we have there. And then now I write it in terms of numbers. So sine 30 is 1 over 2. Cos 180 is negative 1. Cos squared 45 is 1 over 2, right? And then all over. So what do I have here? So this is 1 plus tan 30 is 1 over root 3. So squared, it becomes 1 over 3. This you just type in the calculator, and then if you type this in the calculator, I'm gonna use my brain. So if I use my brain, this part will be 1 over 4. It's also good to show them step by step so that they know, so that they don't assume you use the calculator. So it's better to just multiply the top, get your answer, then multiply the bottom, get your answer. So 1 plus 1 over 3 is 4 over 3. And then this, when you tip in times, 1 over 4 times 3 over 4, because this one will switch, right? So this is gonna give you 3 over 16. Yep, I might be wrong here because I'm using my brain, right? Yeah, so you can just verify. Alright, so here's the next one. So we have sine 135 cos 315 plus cos 360 tan 225 sine 90. Right, just making sure everything is clear. So you can pause the video and attempt this stuff, right? So this gives you 135 is the same as what? 180 minus 45, and then this is 360 minus 45 plus cos 360 is just cos 360 is 1. I can also choose to write 1 later on. And then tan 225 is the same as tan 180 plus 45. And then sine 90 is also 1. And then this gives me what? Sine is positive there, so it's, and then this is also positive, so cos 45. And then this is tan 180 plus 45, so this is positive as well. So this is 1 times tan 45 times 1, right? So this becomes, let me just rewrite the same thing. I'm avoiding confusion, so that's why I'm doing it step by step. So 1 times this thing is still that thing, times 1 is still the same thing. So we have tan 45. So sine 45 is 1 over root 2, cos 45 1 over root 2, tan 45 is 1, cos 1 over 1 is 1. So now when you multiply this, we'll have 1 over 2 plus 1. So this becomes 3 over, okay, this becomes 3 over 2. So that's the answer. And here comes the biggie. So you can attempt this one, just pause the video and attempt it. So this is 240, right? 240. Alright, so how do we solve this? Well, let's just expand. So this is the same as 180 plus 60 square root 3 minus, this is tan 180 minus 60. And then this, did I really put 216? Okay, this is meant to be 210, so if you attempted it, you can actually reattempt it again. Let's just correct that mistake. So you can reattempt it. So yeah, this is sine what? Sine 180 plus 60. This is square root 3. So this is minus tan what? Tan 180 minus 60, because it's in the second quadrant. Then sine 210 is in the third quadrant, so it becomes sine 180 plus 30. And then all over, cos 180 is obviously negative 1, so yeah. And then now this gives you, this is negative, so it becomes negative sine 60. Okay, this over negative 1, let's just do step by step, just not to confuse people. So, but seriously, this thing over negative 1, so this thing over 1 is still that thing, right? Now here we have negative times negative, it's positive, right? So now we'll have tan 180 minus, or just to avoid confusions, let me just do that. Let me just leave it like that. So 180 minus 60, this becomes what? It becomes a negative, so negative tan 60. And then 180 plus 30, so this is negative, so it becomes negative sine 30. So now we multiply all the signs, so negative times negative is positive, times another negative is negative. That negative, when I put it in front, it will affect this negative, so the whole thing will become positive. So it becomes sine 60. So it becomes root 3 plus, remember it became positive because negative times negative is positive, times another negative is negative. Now that negative times this negative, it becomes positive. So this is tan 60 sine 30 all over 1. Now you can see, I mean, this over 1 is still that, right? So let me get the answer straightforward. So then sine 60 is square root 3 over 2. Then here we have square root 3. Then here tan 60 is what? Is square root 3. It's just square root 3. And then sine 30 is 1 over 2. I don't need to write over 1, right? I don't need to write over 1. It's just the same thing. So we have this stuff. So let me just rewrite this. So I rewrote it, right? And then now let's go further. So this becomes that, and then this becomes this. So this is the same as over 1. This becomes root 3 over 2. Then we can just add it, or we can just distribute. It's exactly the same thing. If we choose to distribute, it becomes 3 over 2 plus minus 3 over 4. So then this becomes minus 9 over 4. So yeah, we can do anything. We can distribute, or we can edit. We can really do anything because they're like terms. I can also choose to edit, but you can just type this in a calculator and you'll eventually get that. So yeah, that's what we have. So remember, you do it step by step. So the way I'm doing it, just do this but use a calculator. So we've come to the end of the video. So any questions, comment, right?